Greetings and welcome to this lesson on the fundamentals of grammar. So let's first of all ask this question. What is grammar? Now when it comes to grammar, grammar is important not just for writing but also for spoken English as well. When you're communicating, you need to really understand how grammar works. And if you don't understand how grammar works, you will not know how the English language works. And then when you're speaking, or let's say when you're writing as well, you will not know how to correct yourself. So that is why it's important to learn the fundamentals of grammar just to understand what it involves. Right, so when it comes to grammar, it gets divided into three parts. The first part is called the parts of speech. The second part is called inflection. And the third part is called syntax. So parts of speech are the different types of words found in the English language. So when you take the English language, words get categorized into different groups. So those are known as parts of speech. Now what is inflection? Inflection is where words in the English language have various forms, and sometimes these forms can change. So when we talk about the change in form of words in the English language, we call it inflection. Then we finally have something called syntax. Syntax is where we put all these words in the right order. So basically these are the rules that govern the construction of sentences in the English language. So this is how grammar gets divided. Parts of speech, inflection, syntax. And these areas you need to really understand in order to grasp and also to correct yourself when you make a mistake, both when it comes to speaking and also when it comes to writing. So parts of speech, as I said, parts of speech are the different categories of words found in the English language. So what are these different categories? Nouns, verbs, pronouns, adjectives, adverbs, articles, prepositions, determiners, particles, conjunctions, gerunds, and interjections, also known as exclamation. So these are the different types of words found in the English language, and under these you get subcategories. So it is very important for you to be able to recognize when you're listening to someone talking, or when you're reading, for example, you need to be able to identify the different types of words, because for each type of word there is a different grammar rule. So when you recognize these words, you know that these are the grammar rules that apply to these particular types of words. Inflection. So inflection has to do with the change in form of words. So as you can you see these words? Man, dog, child, box, walk, talk, run, swim, beautiful, happy, angry, quick. These are known as the base forms of these words. So for these are known as nouns, and these are verbs, and these are adjectives, what's on the left here. So these are what you call the base form. So when we change this base form to another different form, that is what we call inflection. Now when it comes to nouns, we convert nouns from singular to plural. So that is known as the inflection of nouns, converting from singular to plural. So as you can see, man becomes men, dog becomes dogs, child becomes children, box becomes boxes. Okay, and when it comes to verbs, you have the present form, and then that gets converted to the past form. So you have walk, walked, talk becomes talked, run becomes ran, swim becomes swam. And then you have adjective to adverb. So these are adjectives: beautiful, happy, angry, quick, and then they get converted to adverbs: beautifully, happily, angrily, quickly. So this is what you call inflection, change in the form of words from one form to another form, depending on the grammar rule or the context we're going to be using the words in. And finally, we have syntax. So syntax is where we put these words in the right order to make sentences that make sense. So here are some typical words: the, zoomed, up, rocket, huge, space, into. So these words on their own make no sense, and if you don't know how to put them in the right order, again it will not make any sense. So let's try to put them in the right order and see if we can construct a sentence that makes sense or has meaning. The huge rocket zoomed up into space. So there you go. You have a sentence where all the words have been put in the right order and they make and it makes sense. So in this slide, we're going to look at introducing yourself. So as you can see, there are some conversations happening. Okay, so in those conversations, you may notice that some tend to be formal and some tend to be informal. So what do we mean by formal and informal language? When we are speaking to somebody that we are not familiar with or we don't know that well, we will have to use formal language. We need to be respectful. Okay, when it comes to informal language, we can be a little bit more casual because we know the person that we're talking to quite well, and it could be a friend as well. So that is the only instance where we'll be using informal language. But when it comes to written and spoken as well, it can vary. You can either use formal or you can also use informal. Sometimes we have something called semi-formal, which is in between formal and informal. So that language also can be used. So let's listen to the conversations in this box.
Good morning. My name is Alicia Sharma.
Hello, Alicia. My name's Tom Robinson. Hi, I'm Lee.
Hi, Lee. I'm Jana. I'm Sally James.
It's good to meet you, Sally.
Hello. My name's Carla.
Pleased to meet you.
My name is Siddiq Ali.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Ali.
Great to meet you.
You too.
The second slide is to do with introducing other people. So let's listen to the conversation and let's learn how to use language on how to introduce people to others.
May I introduce Maria Diaz? Maria is our sales manager for Europe.
It's good to meet you, Maria.
It's a pleasure to meet you too. Amit, meet Edward. Edward, Amit and I work together.
Great to meet you, Edward.
I'd like you to meet Zoe Carr.
It's nice to meet you, Ms. Carr.
This is my new assistant, Levi.
Hi, Levi. Good to meet you. May I introduce Maria?
So that brings us to the end of this lesson. So thank you very much for joining me, and I will meet you again on the next lesson.